But we had some days where it cleared up and temperatures were in the 50s. And I was able to hop on my bike and do a ride up in West Marin. It's interesting, I find a lot of the roads go east-west here. So I'm always on a road going west at the beginning of the ride, and the sun, the angle of the sun in the sky is still fairly low. So the shadows are somewhat more intense, and I do find the lighting can be kind of difficult when I'm on the road going west, even in mid-afternoon. I'm not talking about early evening or late afternoon. This is like riding at 2 o'clock. Oh, okay. People were saying they couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, we got it. We got it fixed.
Okay. So, but nonetheless, I went into West Marin. I went up to Nicasio and Point Reyes Station and rode along the coast some, and it was just a beautiful day and a beautiful ride. As I've mentioned before, I'm keeping my rides kind of local and not too long. I don't want to stray too far afield or ride too much because of the COVID situation here and the hospital situation. But I did get the ride in it, and it was, as always, it was a pleasure. So you didn't get to ride, huh?
Yeah, no. I've last 2 weeks. Well, I think I This is not a good sign. My memory's failing. I mean, I want to say I did get out between, because we took a week off. Everybody just kind of got busy and had family commitments last weekend, and so we ended up not having a show. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah, it was last week.
And so, but I want to say I rode at some point. I think it was like just a quick burn or something like that. Not really. Honestly, I don't remember. I do feel like I got on the bike. I know this week I didn't. Haven't had the best weather this week, and so kind of getting cold, and it's about to really get cold. We're about to get hit with the ice storm and everything that hit everybody else, and I think it's going to kind of phase out before it gets to us, but it's still going to be down near freezing and rainy, just real rainy, Monday night into Tuesday morning. And then if it drops below freezing after I think it's wet, they're worried about, rain at that point. But outside of that, I don't think there's going to be a lot of issues there. But as far as riding, no, I haven't been doing that. Working a lot, which is good. So it's kept me busy. So I guess we could go ahead and jump in on our topic. We don't have everybody to ramble on about what we did all week long or the last 2 weeks. So, but all right. So our topic this week has to do around the announcement, or it's inspired by the announcement made by BMW. If you haven't been aware, BMW announced that they are pulling out of EICMA, and now my brain's not working. What was the other show that they're pulling out of?
EICMA and shucks.
Yeah, see, that's what happened to me. Yeah. Anyway, there's two. Dang, I just can't think of the name. We'll figure it out. But they're pulling out of the trade shows, and not just for next year, but they're saying all future shows because
Intermot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So they're pulling out of those two shows, and they're not going to be at them anymore. So that kind of leads to the question of are these shows, and now that we've been through several things that we're looking at as for, we've got digital presentations, we've seen multiple shows done digitally, we've seen a lot of different kind of, presentations and streaming and this, or just press releases with videos, with stats, are they something from a trade show standpoint that may be past their time? Is the age of trade shows, specifically motorcycle related, kind of outdated at this point? Is it the age over? So, Larry, what are your initial thoughts on saying that?
Well, I think it doesn't look all too promising. I think that the introduction of new models, for instance, I think manufacturers are feeling that they can do it just as well and perhaps even better virtually, and they save a lot of money, an awful lot of money, because they have some of them have pretty fancy introductions. They go to exotic places. They fly journalists to these exotic places and house them and feed them and wine and dine them, and then they have to get the motorcycles and the mechanics and blah blah blah. So those introductions are pretty pricey, and you imagine if they can get the same kind of coverage with just a virtual introduction. Now, the only thing that's missing, as you probably know, is the actual riding of the bikes and the sampling of the bikes. And this is something I think that's still going to have to be done in person, obviously. So there may still be some shows. For instance, AIM is moving towards this, that are going to be basically outdoor shows, and with opportunities, and perhaps a lot of opportunities, to do test rides on bikes, and maybe they will be just restricted to press, or maybe they will have a few days for press and then some for the public.
I think did you mean AIM or IMS? IMS is going
IMS,
outdoors.
Yes. Yeah, IMS. So that's right. AIM is going to be restricted to
they're
press.
digital only right now.
Right. Yeah. So that's I think there's going to have to be some mechanism for journalists and the public to do test rides on bikes, and that obviously can't be done just virtually. So there is going to be some kind of show display that's going to go on in person, but the big shows and the fancy introductions are probably going to be things of the past. And I have to say that it's not going to be just motorcycle shows. There are going to be all sorts of trade shows that are going to move into the virtual realm. The business will not be done as usual, even after the pandemic, tapers down. So we're living in interesting times, Kevin.
Well, I'm interested in your point of view, because you actually opened it up just to more than the trade shows, right, and the big news events, because those historically are where bikes are revealed, right? That's the hey, we're going here, we're going to reveal our bike, it's to see the new things, the bike reveal. That's what you're wanting to see, and so that's what kinda is the target there. And then you've got the press events, where, like you were saying, they fly people from around the world to a single location, Swiss Alps. They give them a press briefing on, here's the updated stats, here's this, here's that. And this is really the first time that that bike that was revealed on stage several months ago as maybe a concept or something, they get a chance to sit on, to ride. They take them on, basically the terrain that this bike was made for, in a perfect setting, and sometimes even on a closed path. And they take it for a ride, they bring it back, they give their feedback on it, and sometimes that bike's adjusted based on their feedback, and then they report on it, usually almost always favorably, because they want to be invited back next time. Who wouldn't? And then they go home, right? And so they get a week to fly out, ride a bike, and then they get to come back and tell everybody, oh yeah, it's going to be great. And then we get on it and we're like, Really? In some senses. So that's a lot of what of happens there on those kind of press events. But then we've got the motorcycle shows. You've got your Intermot and your EICMAs and your AIM Expos and your IMSs. IMS to me that's a traveling trade show, right? That is the hey, we're going to get together and go around. We're going to expose everybody to all these bikes. We're going to give these people a chance to ride the bikes because otherwise most dealerships won't let them ride them. And then we encourage them to go to their local dealer and make a purchase. And then we show off here. We have some competitions to draw in the crowds, and we try to have all these different flavors and all this good stuff, which is awesome. It's great for the community. They only do it because it makes them money. And, the manufacturers participate because they hope to sell more bikes. So that's that. You've got the AIM Expo, which is a dealer show, right? That's where the manufacturers and the parts makers and the third party makers and the helmet guys and the this and the that, they all get together and they're negotiating and making deals and asking for things. And, the dealer part of it, and dealers come together and, they're all, that's what that is. And then AIM also has the press event where they do have a couple launches. They have the media there. And then historically, they've had several days that are open to the public. Why not? We've got all these people set up in their booths and everything, and we're going to open it up to the public. So might as well capitalize on that and get some extra revenue. And I think that's great. And I mean, we've gone to it several times. It's awesome to go to. I've enjoyed every time I went, no matter how short I was there. And look forward to hopefully going back to another one in person. They have the demo rides, and it was all done very well. But you look at what's happened now that we're in this post-COVID, or we're getting to the end of hopefully what COVID has done, and you've got IMS going to an outdoor-only show. And IMS's big draw is they were going to places in the wintertime in the snow to where, okay, yeah, you can't really get on your motorcycles until, 3 months from now. We're going to have a motorcycling event and to handle some of this pent up interest in your sport, hobby, and passion. Now they're moving to more of an outdoor expo to where it's a glorified demo day fair kind of thing, right? So they're kind of doing it all outdoors. You'll be able to ride and schedule and do all this stuff, which not all the IMSs could do before. EICMA and everything, I don't even think they had one last year. This year, I figured it would, I don't think I can't remember what the article said, if they made an announcement about it being digital only or how they were going to do it. I know AIM this last year did theirs completely digitally. And before that, because they had initially pushed it back, then they canceled it. And so 2020 didn't have one. But at one point in time, they were kind of talking like, hey, we're not going to be opening this up. In 2020, they kind of went to, we may not be opening this up to the public anymore. Yeah. This may just strictly turn into a dealer show, an internal trade show, dealer show kind of thing, with some press invited on maybe the first or second day. I'd hate to see that happen, just because that was the draw of what the AIM Expo was. But I think right now they're setting expectations for when things do get back to normal. For what it may take to get things going again. Because, a lot of people are expecting a lot of these cities to really have different types of requirements for big shows like that. And not knowing what it is, they don't want to get stuck with something. But, as my opinion of it, I think it's important to give the general public an opportunity to gather, to look at all the different bikes that are there, look at what's going on in the marketplace, to be able to experience bikes and companies that don't necessarily have a local representation for them. You know, a lot of people have never heard of Beta motorcycles because they're not, you know, if you're not really familiar with what a Beta motorcycle is, you know, if you're not in that world, you may never heard of them. But if you walk around a trade floor, there we go, that word, floor. You know, you get to experience new things and grow and become more interested and more knowledgeable, which helps you make better decisions, which helps you give better feedback to the manufacturers, and yada yada. You had a comment?
Well, I was just going to say that EICMA is still scheduled to go on in its November time slot, according to the article, and Intermot isn't supposed to. It's a biennial event, so it's not supposed to resume until the fall of 2022.
Okay.
So as of now, these events are not canceled, but BMW has indicated that they will not only not go this year, but that they have no plan to go in the future as well.
All right. And so, me personally, I'm hopeful that these trade shows stay around, and I think that they're still relevant. I don't think the video presentations, because we get a lot of that anyway. You know, that doesn't add anything to what we get. You know, you can't give us the experience of throwing a leg over a bike, or to be able to put hands on something, or to talk to somebody within the company. And that's another thing that these shows do really good, like for the press or for whoever it is it lets you talk directly to people that know. You know, some of the engineers travel with these shows. So if you go to them and you're able to get into them, and that's one thing that was great about, you know, AIM Expo is, you know, on some of the days that it was open to the public, you could have anybody from the CEO of a company to the head engineer. They're able to answer questions that you might have, or just, you know, to talk about, you know, the head marketing guy or the head salesman that really knows the product and the company, you know, that, you know, tell me about this. Well, you know, why is this such a big deal? And they can really let into it. They're not getting it off of a pamphlet and reading it to you. You know, you get to interact with the people. And I think that gives you a chance to bring home customers. I think it gives you a chance for the customer to, you know, feel like they're cared about as the customer, you know, and I just don't see, I think you lose a lot by just saying, oh, well, here's this thing digitally. Well, you know, I just don't know. I want to be able to put hands on, throw a leg over, sit on it, you know, play with all the controls, feel how flimsy that button thing is or that toggle is. And, you know, how is the clutch lever? And, you know, oh, you got this interesting new thing you're doing differently. I want to go play with it there and then get on a bike that doesn't have it. And, you know, anyway, any more thoughts on it?
Well, I think that you're right. I would also be sad about the passing of these events, and they're probably going to go on. I think resume at least for a while, but you know, the trend obviously is to go virtual, and I suspect that is going to continue to take a bigger and bigger part of this kind of process, except for the fact that. The events such as IMS, where you can actually get to sit on and ride the bikes, may actually continue and even get bigger because all these other events are getting smaller.
Well, you know, and here's another thing I just thought about.
Mm-hmm.
So these companies do put a lot of money and investment in going to all these shows. Shipping bikes across the world and all this good stuff, right? Like, you know, Harley goes to EICMA. That's a lot of money. You know, And it's also been said, with the exclusion of Harley, that for the most part, you can't take a test ride. And there's some dealerships I know that if they don't think you're serious, you can't even sit on the bike because you might scuff it when you throw your leg over. So if they were able to take the money that they were investing in their trade shows and apply it towards a, test ride program, demo fleet, to where every dealer has a demo bike of every model that they're selling, and that is the demo bike, and it's maintained and it's kept in top form constantly. That could be a positive. I'm reaching for positives here. That could be a positive what comes out of this, because if you lose the experience of riding the bikes and being able to compare them to the other bikes that you're interested in that you get at the dealer shows and at these trade shows, give us an opportunity to get that back to where we don't, maybe it's better because I don't have to travel across the world and go to, Vegas or Columbus or Orlando or wherever, So trying to reach for positive out of this.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that it's traditionally the Japanese bikes have not made demos available, except when on those rare times when they have demo trucks on site.
Mm-hmm.
So they, I think they're going to have to change doing business as usual if they want to sell bikes, particularly to younger people who are not used to not being able to sample what they want to buy. So I suspect that may change if as time goes on. But right now, the world is altering, and the other thing that can impact this is that the pandemic has affected public transportation, and of course now the usage of public transportation is way down. But they're anticipating that even after the pandemic tapers off, there may be less demand for public transportation because more and more people are going to be working from home. So this may actually be a boost for personal transportation and economical personal transportation, such as the motorcycle or scooter. Would be a really good thing to consider. So it's the future remains interesting. As a side note to that point, I just saw that Piaggio was reporting that their sales their market share in Europe has increased up to like 24%, I think, from something like, I think it went up 6 percentage points over this last year. And a lot of that is attributable to sales of their increasing sales of scooters. So that is a very viable market, obviously in Europe, obviously in Asia, and America remains recalcitrant. But perhaps as options for public transport diminish because of the decreased funding stream, people may be looking towards personal transportation to fill in the gaps.
Yep, it's a good point. Good point. Well, I think we've kicked this horse enough. Let's transition into Honda. So Honda filed some trademark applications, right? And what are we looking at as far as so it's from what I understood, it's a sport tour that they're looking to bring out with what is expected to be the current Africa Twin engine, kind of modified, but that's what they're thinking of, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
So what do you know about this? Because I know you've been following this a little bit closer than I have.
Yeah. Well, as as we were talking before, the sports tour class is sort of my favorite class of motorcycle. I think it's the most versatile, and in some models, to me, the best looking bikes around. So Honda has been kind of notably absent lately from that category. But they're looking to correct that. Did apply for trademark rights to the name NT1100 in Europe, and um, this is a designation that has been applied in the past to their kind of sport touring bikes. So it's expected that they will be coming out with a sport tourer, and it will be using a version of the um, Africa Twin engine, the 1100cc engine. Um, so they're probably going to change the torque curve to for the specific requirements of a sport touring bike, but it will be the same engine. Um, and so I think the image that they show in the article is of I think an appealing design. Looks quite similar to the Versus or the Tracer, and probably will be in direct competition with the Tracer. And um, and it will be Honda. So I would expect it to have, a reliability. Whether or not it's going to come with the DCT, I expect it probably that will be available, but they don't mention that in the article. But I would think that in a bike that that would be a sport touring bike, that would be an option that they would want to give with it.
I don't think you're going to get any bike from Honda anymore that
doesn't have DCT.
Well, I'm not going to say that because, they might have a couple like 250s or something like that they come out with and lower end dirt bikes and stuff, so that they might not have it on. But when you're looking at a something with a tour mindset that's got luggage and people throwing out a bunch of money, it's going to have all the electronics in it. I'm pretty sure that's going to be on there. The images that are on the website that we're looking at, this is a Cycle World article. They are computer generated, and I was talking to Larry about this before the show. I don't like them. Specifically the last one, and what it is there is a Elon Musk
truck
thing in here, and while the truck has grown on me because it just has, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's not just like, oh my God, really? Kind of like that. But the last one of the one on the stand, it really does remind me of some kind of bike as far as that upper fairing looks, right out of, what was that movie that was his inspiration? Harrison Ford, the freaking clones. Dang it. How did I not remember this?
Blade
Runner. Thank you. Yeah. It is very Blade Runner-ish in the way it looks. And it's what it is the fairing kind of goes back flat, and it's got a peak, like a point pyramid that's like sticking out for the outside edge of the fairing, and this comes to a hard edge point. And to me, on the 3D renderings, it just looks like that's a massive well there, because you're taking a 3D image and 2D, and just the angle of it with the shadowing that they've got on there just has it look extremely big. I'm not a fan of that. I could get the rest of it. I made a comment to Larry that some of these look like praying mantises when you look at them, the way they got that flat head on the front of them. And you guys take a look. We'll look them out. I do like the way some of the headlights kind of modify in there, but it's work in progress, right? So these are just computer renderings.
Well, actually, this was a concept bike. I don't know if they actually had a model, physical model out. This was shown, I think, at what did it say, EICMA or.
These are computer renderings showed how the final package might look.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm seeing here. So The styling cues. Okay, so that last bike is the CB4X, the one that I was looking at on the stand. That is the concept that was revealed at the 2019 EICMA show.
Right.
And everything. You know what it really looks like? There's the dinosaur that's got that flat head with the long thing that goes over the top of its head that like spits water behind its head.
That's Triceratops?
No, it's not the Triceratops. It's like the Diplosaurus or something like that. I don't remember. But
oh, I know what you're talking about.
That's what it is. It's either praying mantis or that. So, it's just anyway. I'm sure that when they come up with the final model, it'll be refined a little bit more. And sometimes, we look at some of these concept bikes and we're just like, that is absolutely awesome. And then you get the real one and you're like, what'd you do? You screwed it up. I don't think they can make this bike much worse on cosmetics, to me. Now, this is a personal decision. And, just like on the Tesla truck, I might turn around in 6 months and go, really, that's not that bad. I was like, it's growing on me. So this is just my first kind of like, and it could be just I've not been out in the world enough in the last year to really feel any differently about anything. All right. So any more thoughts on the NT 1100? I think that was the name that they were going for it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's to me it's promising looking. I think when you see it with the bags added, it's going to be, I think, better looking, and I welcome it. And of course, I expect it'll have fully modern electronics and so on. And but the pricing is probably not going to be rock bottom either.
Oh yeah. Guarantee about that. I had a conversation about pricing last night about motorcycles, and I'm trying to remember the model that we were talking about. It was a very interesting conversation. I wish I could have recorded it. It would have been just great just to tag at the end of a show because of the different thoughts and comments that came out about it. All right.
What were you saying about pricing?
I mean, it just went everywhere. How, you can't. We really got into, and well, here we go. So we got into Harley a little bit, and how the younger market doesn't really have representation. You've got a younger market that comes out. They're more conscientious about how they're spending their money. And, with Harley's change in direction with their new leadership, I can't say new. They've been there for a year or so now. With the different take that this current leadership in the company's taken, we're falling back, tried and true. We're, circling the wagons and counting on what lasts for us and what we know and our core business. And the problem is everybody's been telling them for a while, your core business is struggling, because your main clientele, your core business is literally dying, and nobody's coming in to replace them. And, I think going with the Livewire and moving into that and getting ahead of that curve, to try to be a market leader is great. The problem is that is a very expensive venture to undertake. You have a ton of R&D. Your bikes have to be priced rather high when that first vehicle comes out. Well, then you need to follow it up with more affordable vehicles. All right, let's look at Tesla. Tesla comes out, their first couple things are high end. They do proof of concepts. They're able to better refine their entire business model surrounding these things. They're able to reproduce things cheaper now. So now they could come out with vehicles that are more everyday, down in the 30,000 area for just a basic one. 36, I think. And, it's achievable for somebody that doesn't have $60,000. Now, you still want the $60,000 ones, just like everybody wants the $50,000, $60,000 competitive vehicle. But if you're just out of college or you're just out of high school and you need a vehicle and you've got a job that's giving you a decent salary, you might be able to get a used one for in the 20s. You know, that's okay. You know, when you look at the Harleys, you know, and your you know, motorcycles don't have that same pull as vehicles, and so there's a differential there. You know, you need to have some motorcycles that somebody brand new can get on that's in the style they want to ride, using the technology they want you to use, under $10,000. And, you know, the Harley doesn't have a lot in that offering that appeals to the younger generations. It's been well noted. On top of that, they're more frugal with their money, so it takes more to get them to spend it. But that was the basis of the conversation.
Yeah.
And we just kind of battered around that for a while.
I think those good points. I remain concerned about Harley and the direction they're going in, just because of what you're saying. I think that they want to become more exclusive, more expensive, and even get the prices raised on used Harleys. So, you know, that's what they want to be known as the premium sort of exclusive brand, and higher profit margins, lower numbers. But I think that's short-sighted. People that are willing to spend that kind of money on a bike are dying off, as you point out, and younger people simply don't have the money to spend for those kinds of bikes. So I'm not optimistic about Harley's future, to tell the truth.
Yeah,
but,
and that actually is a great tie-in to the article that we're talking about here on motorcycle.com. And it's basically Hardware announced more details, and they kind of gave some brief things of their Hardwire, their next initiative, right? So they've been in the Rewire, now we're in the Hardwire, right? And this is kind of going from 2021 to 2025, okay? And some of their goals that they've got is that they want mid-single-digit annual growth in revenue. They're looking for double-digit growth in the Harley-Davidson financial services. So that right there. So what you're saying is we're hopefully emerging from a pandemic that has had a massive economical impact on most people at some form or fashion, right? There's a lot of people that are hurting financially. They've had businesses aren't doing as well. Employees have had to work less hours or have been out of work. There's going to be, you know, ramifications coming from this. Okay. And you're saying that you want double-digit growth in your financing industry. What? That makes no sense to me. That you're looking at, okay, hey, we're going to hit hard economic times, maybe, or people are dealing with the impact of being in this situation. And you're hoping financing is going to help you out. Now, one good thing is that all the rates are still low, but that may not stay that way. So, you know, we need to really look at, is that the right focus there? Or is it making things more affordable should be your focus? Or providing something that is, you know, hey, I really want a bike, but I just can't afford this one. And financing, well, let's just put everything on the line here. Or, you know, why not give them a cheaper option that they might like? Anyway, sidebar, back on topic. And they kind of touted about this hardware initiative that it's growing on what the Rewire strategy is, and it's got 6 key priorities. The first one being investing in Harley Davidson's most profitable segments: baggers, cruisers, tourers, yada yada. Selective expansion into new segments, leading in electrification, growth in non-motorcycle businesses, connecting with customers, and inclusive stakeholder management. So that shouldn't be a shock, right? I mean, especially the last two. That's like on everybody's thing all the time. I've never seen anybody say, we don't want to connect with our customers anymore. Our strategy this year is to disconnect with all of our customers because they're just annoying. you know. So, we've got things like, hey, we've got the new they got the Adventure Touring Pan America, right? That's their new segment. So, the company will establish a 70-20-10 construct. 70% of its focus is going to be on its core segments. 20% is on new segments, and 10% is on other opportunities, including small displacement models. They need to flip that around because you've already got the freaking core segment. Why are you spending so much of your time and money on it? You've already got it. Spend your time and money on the segments you don't have. Hello. If it costs you 70% to keep the people you got, something's wrong. It just is. Well, I don't want to keep just rambling here. What are your thoughts? Am I wrong in that attitude? Let me ask you that. Am I wrong in that attitude to say that you're spending 70% of your stuff to keep the people you already got when we know those people you already got aren't the future of the company? Is that a misstep there? Shouldn't you spend that 70% on getting the new people?
Well, that's what I've been saying too, Kevin, and that's what I think Matt Levitek's, the former CEO's plan was to do just that. Was to open it up for new riders and riders who wanted different kinds of bikes and so on. And perhaps Harley didn't have the resources to fulfill Levitek's plan, but this plan seems to me to be perhaps they'll get some short-term increase in profitability, but long-term, I think they're digging themselves into a corner, and it'll be harder for them to get out. So, I'm not like I said, I'm not terribly impressed or hopeful that this plan is really the best way for Harley to go. But what do I know? The one part of the plan that is encouraging is that they are creating a separate division for the electric bikes, and they are committed to increasing the number of bikes in that line and lowering the price and increasing the range and functioning of electric bikes, and that is I think right now Harley's the only motorcycle manufacturer that actually has a production electric bike. The only manufacturer of regular combustion ICE bikes that also puts out an electric bike. So they're wanting to stay ahead of that curve, and that is hopeful. I think that the market for electric is going to increase. Unless some other technology, a better technology, intervenes, and that's always possible. There are lots of problems, as we know, that are associated with the electric segment.
So and going on that, so I'm going on the moving into the electric segment. So their new segment focus is pretty much Pan America. That's there. You might still take the electrification section as maybe a new guy. But when you look at the, sport bikes are becoming less popular, right? Sport bikes aren't really selling that well. Hence Yamaha cutting the R6 from production, public production and all this. When you look at the market, naked bikes, those they're street fighters, those kind of in between bikes, I guess I'd call them, or because they're not necessarily just pure sport bikes. They're kind of growing in popularity. Harley had a great bike that a lot of people were interested in seeing and riding in the Bronx, that technically they haven't canceled it, I don't think, but they haven't really said anything about it in ages. And I think they're just hoping everybody forgets about it. And maybe next year that'll be in their new section. After they get the Pan America out, after they get, you know, Livewire 2.0 out, you know,
Yeah,
maybe they'll come out and release that. But it's like, you know, what sections are growing and what sections are you just totally missing the ball on?
well, that that's a good question. I think that I actually think the Bronx is probably essentially canceled for the foreseeable future. After the Pan America, I think the next new bike that comes out will probably be something that they're now calling the Custom, and that's kind of a cruiser style bike, and that will probably be a replacement for the Sportster line, which as we know is no longer feasible to sell in Europe because of the emissions requirements, and has not been updated significantly for many years now. So the expectation is that the next new bike that they come out with will be a replacement for the Sportster and something like the Custom.
Yeah, it's this article does say that the 20% does include a middleweight cruiser segment.
Yeah.
And they plan to reinvent and increase profitability using the new Revolution Max engine, which is the official name of what they're put into the Pan America. Saying it's a very versatile platform. So, I mean, I guess it depends on what that looks like. But, I mean, it's a cruiser. I mean, you call it middleweight cruiser segment. How about you just say middleweight segment and take the cruiser out and do something there? So, because we got cruisers.
Well, they don't have middleweight cruisers though. With the Sportster, if the Sportster line goes the way of the Dodo, they're going to have something to substitute for it.
Yeah.
And so, by calling it a cruiser, although the bike does have some, it has more what looks like a somewhat more upright seating position. The the model that they had been advertising. So it may be that it's going to be a bit of a cross between a Sportster and a sport bike, and maybe start to bridge that gap. They do have the engines they have a number of different displacements that they can use, so it may not be a 1200, could be an 850. For instance, that remains to be seen. But at any rate, I think that that's going to be sort of a bridge for them. And perhaps after that, if that does well, then you might see something more aggressive like the Bronx.
Yeah. So, well, another week, another Harley
story,
so,
right? Yeah.
Did get a couple other news bits from them. We're not going to spend a lot of time on them. Harley's decided to pull all of their merchandise off of Amazon and sell it locally on their website. Because Amazon, if depending on how that's being shipped out or how they've got that set out with Amazon may be taking a little bit of cut of that. They'd have to be.
Right.
So that's some. There's. I mean, I get it. If you want a Harley shirt in Amazon, go to Harley. It's not that big of a deal.
But I think that is also part of their initiative. They're pulling in and pulling back, and they want everything to go through their own dealers or distribution networks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want Harley stuff, you go to their website or you go to their dealer.
And really, I mean, if you order it from the website, you're not helping your dealer out at all. So if you're going to be purchasing something, go to your dealer, because that helps the dealer out. It's you order, you go in, you look at it, and you go home and you find it on the website and you order it. That dealership gets nothing for it. So remember that as well.
That's true. The only advantage for the dealer potentially is that if you have it shipped to the dealer, you pay no shipping. and that would help to put more people going into the dealership.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But I mean, if I'm going to order it online, why would I not just have it shipped to myself and pay the $2 of shipping or something? You know, I mean,
well, normally you would. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I never understood that. Like, well, you know, you could, you know, we'll get it here and you can come get it. I was like, well, if I'm going to order it, if you're going to order it, I could just order it and have it shipped to me. I mean, that's your logic is flawed there. So I was like, if you can order it and have it shipped to me, we can do that. And he's like, oh, no, it's got to come here. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I was like, yeah, if it's going to be ordered and I got to wait for it, then, you know, sorry. Anyway, let's take a moment and thank the Throttled crew members for a wonderful job they do in supporting the show. We really appreciate everything that they do and the community that we've got going on there. If you're interested in supporting the show and just kind of helping us out, go to the website, throttledpodcast.com, click on the Patreon logo on the homepage and sign up, or you can go to patreon.com/throttled, and that'll work as well. I need to actually put that address on this slide too. So big thanks to all you guys and ladies. We really appreciate everything you do to help us out. We can, I think we're going to go ahead and just start wrapping it up. We're getting pretty close to time. And so what we'll do is we'll say that, you know, hey, we are on Twitter.
We are?
We are on Twitter. And
wow.
Sorry, I was trying to get the main screen back up. We were on Twitter at Throttled Show, Instagram Throttled Show, and Facebook Throttled Podcast. From time to time, we post on social media. If you'd like to reach out to us, feel free to reach out to us. They are monitored. And, you know, depending on what's going on, when we're able to get out, we're starting to put more photos and stuff up there. You know, I've got a couple of things that I'm trying to get planned and some interesting, depending on what happens in the next 6 months in the world and in availability of time, could be a lot more active on Instagram for sure. So we can get all that worked out. But that's our social media. And if you sign up to Twitter and Facebook or either one of those, you can get a notification because we post every Sunday when we're about to go live. So Sunday at 7:30, we do record the show live. We post about 15 minutes before the show on Twitter and Facebook with a link to the YouTube stream. And speaking of YouTube, if you go to one of those links on our social media and you find the page, you can actually subscribe and click the notification icon. And as soon as you go live, if you've got the app on your phone or something, you can get the little notification popping up on your phone. I mean, I did it today. I hit the go live button. And as soon as everything connected, about 15 seconds later, my phone, you know, ding, hey, Throttled is going live. And so, you know, it's a really nice way to know when we're going live and to get your reminder that way as well. So we appreciate all the subscriptions and people clicking the bell notification. Feel free. We'd love to have you come on board and join our live crew. We've got a great group of people that come in and have a variety of chats, from how sucky the Minnesota football team is to things Harley needs to do better and the detriment of debt in today's society. So the conversation varies. I don't remember
always interesting though.
Yeah, and you know, there's always conversations that carry on week to week to week that when we get in here, we're just like, what were they talking about again? And we had to go back and like look at the old ones, like, oh, that's right. But those three guys know they've carried on the conversation for like a month. So, but anyway, loved having everybody in today. Thank you, everybody. Larry, any thoughts? Anything I forgot to mention?
No, I think you covered the pretty well. The live chat is always a lot of fun and really interesting. So, you know, encourage people to join that. And other than that, we'll see you all next week.
All right, everybody. Hey, if you can get out there and ride safe. If you're dealing with the horrible weather coming through in the past recent weeks, with whether it's tornadoes in some states. I mean, Alabama, we just had a tornado a few weeks ago, and now we're dealing with ice and snow. So, you know, that's great. Welcome to the South. But, you know, depending on what's going on, stay safe out there. You know, hang out with your loved ones. And if you can get out there and ride safe. We'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody. Awesome. Hey, everybody in the live show, thank you so much. You guys always awesome. Has its own price structure. Yeah. Well, Cycle Gear and Brevzilla have almost cornered the price thing there. So, Rodney's comment. Anyway, so everybody, please be safe out there and everything. Just to let you guys know, a month from now, I think on the 23rd, maybe 21st, 23rd of March, we will definitely be missing one show on that weekend. I don't know about the following weekend yet. So there's been a couple things to just get Spike minus tires. You're funny. There's a couple things going on that may have me out for different reasons on those weekends. So we may have a little break there around spring break. Unfortunately, it may not be tied to spring break for us, but we'll see. Anyway, so you guys be careful, stay safe. We will be back next week. That's the plan. There's no reason not to be. Larry, you got any reason not to be here next week?
No, I think no. I plan to be here.
Yeah, so we plan to be here, and so hopefully you guys will too. We'll see you all then. Everybody that tuned in late and is still